Welcome to Rise and Shine Daily Business Tech Boost with me, Charly Leetham. If you're a small business owner looking to simplify technology and get real, actionable advice from someone with 35 years of IT experience, you're in the right place. Every episode, I'll dive into tools and systems like email, CRM, marketing and tracking, and break them down into bite-sized tips you can use right away. Your time is valuable, so let's get straight to the point. It's time to work smarter, not harder. Rise and shine. It's your daily dose of business tech inspiration with me, Charly Leetham. I want to talk about webhooks today. It's a little more technical than I normally do, or than I often do. I have got technical at times, or very technical at times. This is going to be one of those cases where I take something that I consider is slightly more complex and try to break it down so that it's of use to people. Webhooks are really powerful things when used properly and when people understand, or when you understand how they can be used and what they do for you. I just love when I read documentation and I'm reading the sales documentation. It says, and we support webhooks. You can use webhooks with our software. Fantastic. What does it do? What can I do with this webhook? So a webhook is something that sits in a receiving application and waits for data to be sent to it. And that when you send to that webhook, it looks for a specific format of data so that it can do something with it. Now, the example I'm going to give is my WordPress website. I can set up a webhook with a little bit of work. I can set up a webhook on my WordPress website that when something is sent to it, it takes that data and it posts on the site. It takes the data, it pulls out the author, it pulls out the title, it pulls out the content, it pulls out the tags, it pulls out the category, and the back end does its thing. See how I'm doing that? The back end does its thing and posts a post to my website. It publishes a post to my website. So that's the webhook. The webhook is sitting there waiting for that data to come in, and once that data comes in, it does its own thing. That's the receiving side of it. When you're looking at applications, you've got applications that can use webhooks. Now, what I mean by that is when a specific thing happens, you can set it up so that it sends that data out to the webhook you've set up, webhook you've set up, and then that process takes place. Let me simplify that a little bit further. I'll give you a great example of it, what I think is a great example of it. I can send an email to my email system. I have the email system I use actually allows me in my rules, in my filters, that says when an email meets this criteria, send the data in this structure to this address, to this web address, which is the webhook address. And that, so if I'm talking about the case of my WordPress website, I can send from my phone. I need to write a new article, write it up, put it into my email, press send it to the address on my email. The filter kicks in, pulls all the data out, formats it the way it needs to go, sends it to my WordPress website, and my WordPress website does what I need it to do and post that as an article. That's a long way around it. Yeah, sure, I could log in and do it, but sometimes you don't have an interface that allows you to do that, and sometimes just writing it up via email is a great way of doing it. Or if you've got people out in the field and you just need to get quick posts done, they can send in emails to that email address and it will do it. So that's the benefit of a webhook. I can also talk about things like Xero. Xero has a trigger. That's what we'll call them, a trigger that says when a new invoice is created, I can set up and I can register a webhook to it and say when a new invoice is created, send data to my CRM to say this invoice has been created, and accept that data in on my CRM. And in that webhook, it tells me who the client is, might give them a client number. It gives me the value of the invoice, it gives me the invoice number, and maybe I can even get the content of the invoice. And then that can go into my CRM against the contact. It's not as easy as just, we're just going to send the data and it's all going to be accepted. Often you need to have a coder on the other side where you're sending that data to pull the data out and massage it around so it does what it needs to do. But they are really, really powerful things. It makes integrating systems so much easier. If you've used things like Zapier or make.com, that's kind of like a webhook. It's not exactly a webhook, but it's kind of like a webhook. You're sending data out to that system. That system's doing what it needs to do and then doing something else with it. So webhooks can be really, really powerful. The point is you need to understand what events are on your initiating system, what events can trigger a webhook. Once you understand what events can be used, you can then move forward and say, okay, I want, when an invoice is created, I want to do this. When an email is received, I want to do this. What's another one that we can do there? When a customer updates their data in my CRM, I want that to be pushed out to my accounting package so that if they've changed their email, that email is now across the board. I've got it in my CRM, I've got it in my accounting package. It's all together. The way you can, the things that you need to do when you want to use a webhook, and this is where it really gets tricky, you probably do need to have someone who's got a little bit of nous about creating code, writing code, putting this all together. You need to sit down and before you even put a coder in place, sit down and work out what it is you want to happen. This is the input that comes in, this is the data that comes in, and on this side I want this to happen. You don't need to know about this black box here, this little black box that you're plugging the data into and getting the data out of. That's my job, that's a job of a coder. But know exactly what you want to happen. And I gave you a great example there, I think. When someone updates their email in the CRM, you've got a portal for your CRM and they can log in and change their details. When the data gets updated in the CRM, I want to make sure that that's reflected across to my accounting system, that my accounting system updates the email address as well. Once you've got that, once you understand that, you can then engage with it with someone like myself, a coder, someone who does integrations, and say, look, I'm doing this. It looks like I've got webhooks available here. Can we use these? How do we use these? Can you do it? The way you use a webhook, if you're really interested, like I said, is you identify the event, you set up the receiving URL so that's integration platforms like Zapier can do it. Your applications on your own applications may have receiving webhooks as well. For example, WordPress, you can set up a webhook on WordPress. You can set up a webhook in your CRM or in your accounting package that's ready to receive data. Now, not all packages have webhooks that will receive data. You do need to be aware of that. Some will only send data out that way. You need to go to the source application where it is going to send the data and tell it where to send that information, what the receiving URL is. You need to specify the events that should trigger it. And now most platforms these days, as I said, say we support webhooks. That what they mean is that they've got these interfaces that you can go in and tick buttons and put in the URL and say send this data and do this, and it happens at these times. Hopefully, all the systems that you're using to do this have a test ability, have the ability to say we're in test mode and we're just going to send out tests until we got it right. Not all do, and not all test modes are easy to use. But you do need to test. Don't put this straight into production and expect it to work straight up. You do need to test it. You need to try it under different conditions. What happens if someone misses putting in this? What happens if this data looks like this? Test multiple things to make sure that you've got a robust integration going on. And then finally, make sure that you're using secure connections for your webhooks. Make sure that you are using HTTPS, and make sure that you are using things like secret tokens or API keys or key certificate pairs to effect the transfer. Now, what they do is they are literally, hi, this is Charlie. Hey, Charlie, this is so-and-so. What's your secret password? Oh, well, my secret password's this. Yes, that's your secret password. Now I'm going to talk to you further. It is that extra level of security. It's not just, you know what the URL is, you know what the structure of the data needs to be. You have something that other system needs to know. Okay, I think that is a goodish explanation of a webhook and why it's important, and how it can be important to you and how you can use it. I struggle a lot with it because I go, I want to do this, and then I go and have a look, and oh, well, that event isn't actually supported by the system, so I have to go around it another way. But absolutely have a look into it. When you're thinking about, I really want to connect these two systems, have a look and see what integration options, what webhooks are available in your systems that you can use. What do you guys think? Let me know. Leave comments wherever you are watching or listening to this video. Come across and join me on my locals community, askcharlyleetham.locals.com. You can get to interact with me there. You can send me a DM on our social media channels. I will respond to them eventually. And visit me at my website, askcharlyleetham.com. If this has been of benefit to you, please like the video. I would appreciate that immensely. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you find out when I drop more content. See you all tomorrow, guys. Hey there, thanks so much for tuning in to Rise and Shine, your daily business tech boost. I hope today's episode gave you some actionable insights that will make your business tech work smarter for you. If you found value, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other small business owners who could use a daily boost. For more tips, tools, and resources, visit www.askcharlyleetham.com. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and let's make tech simple together.